Everything went surprisingly well. I think we all had expectations. We all anticipated different things, but in some, when we look back on it, reflect on the time we spent there in those 2 weeks, it was an eye-opener. It was gratifying, it was pleasing, and it was inspirational because I think all of us want to do more than we did before.
Well, it was, first of all, my first major opportunity to witness the results of the project we have now been working on for 5 or 6 years, 20-some containers of school supplies, seeing them at work in the schools, seeing the results from the children.
It's the first time that I saw physically what came out of the containers. I felt pleased that it was being put to good use, because those very same things could have been dumped, and here we have people who are utilizing them in an orderly fashion, which made me proud.
So we're seeing that that input is now bearing fruit. It's maybe small, it's a drop in the ocean, but I guess every drop eventually makes an ocean.
First of all, my experience in South Africa or Southern Africa goes back to the early 80s. I witnessed the substantial political change from from the apartheid system to a democracy. I think the first challenge when we sort of made the decision, when I say we, this is the first group that Dini and I took to South Africa, was to secure supplies. This came about as a bit of a fluke when I had a phone call from Helen White, who lives in Bryanston, across from the Prince Andrew School, and she had been with us on that previous trip. She said, "Pete, you got to come and see this. You got to help. You got to do something." They had parked a number of dumpsters in front of the school, and there were employees heaving desks and books and filing cabinets and bookcases and you name it into these containers. So Helen's question to me was, we've got to salvage these goods and ship them to Africa. I then made a few phone calls, and it was not easy to get our foot in the door to get a school board to accept that we might take that product and find another use for it.
We've shipped almost 30 containers now to Africa. Now, people have only a very limited imagination when it comes to how much actual product was shipped to Africa. But we're told that just about 1 million books have gone over there. We've sent over 7,000 desks. I know we've sent pianos, we've sent sports equipment, we've sent shelving, we've sent blackboards. You look at all that, you put it all together and think, holy cow, that's amazing.
Okay, this is where it all started. This is the Elandslaagte School. My wife Dini and I had the opportunity to visit this school When we got here, it would make you cry. There was no books, no desks, and yet there were students attempting to get an education with rudimentary teaching staff, but one heck of a good leader in the name of Lean Cohen.
It's a small school in a very, very rural area. The inhabitants in the area, the children in the school, very poor.
It was 108 years, I think they said old, and it was just a shambles.
The parents were farm workers. Many of them were unemployed. Some of the children stayed with their grandparents.
There was no kitchen, there was no media centre, there were short of desks, there were no computers, there were no books. It was really a structure that kids came to and were kept busy for the day, and then they went home.
And many of these kids, when they come to schools, was the first time they would be exposed to books, to magazines. They really, they lived a life of exclusion.
In order to make it sustainable, we put boreholes in, we put water in. We upgraded the kitchen. We put in the veggie gardens. Once the water came, the veggie gardens were the next natural process.
It has enriched them, you know, I think to a certain extent it has given them hope, because, you know, they had resources now which they did not have before.
This is when the literacy program really started that we're involved with so heavily right now. The first container was shipped to 2 schools, one in Lion Sands, which is a game reserve, and the other half came to this school here. And here I just had the opportunity to view those desks at work, the books at work, the blackboards, the filing cabinets and what have you, and saw the gas stove and the cooking pot. So the effect we've had appears to me to have had a very, very positive effect. And you know, it virtually brings tears to my eyes to see the result of that experience some 7 years ago.
So we're seeing that input is now bearing fruit. So we can only do what we can do. You ask me what sustains, what keeps us going. I guess it's the reward of seeing smiling faces, spontaneity, smiles, children who are happy, who have, I guess they feel that they've got a future. They're seeing things which perhaps which their parents did not have.
A child with an education has opportunity. They can have the same future or work towards a similar future that what our children have in the rest of the Western world. And we must help them to help themselves. So I'm a firm believer in teaching a young child, helping a young child develop a future that will be very beneficial to the whole world.
I think the experience they're going through is something that they've never had before. I think they have a sense of appreciation for what's being done for them. It's obvious to me that we are making a difference, that we are making a change in the lives of young people that they're going to remember forever. And the overwhelming gratitude and happiness in what we've done is really emotional.